what you did tonight will haunt you until the end of your days.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're explaining the bury your gays trope.
Hollywood either ignored homosexuals, or killed them off, or turned them into prancing stereotypes.
Bury your gays refers to the killing of LGBTQIA+ characters in storytelling, whereas heterosexual characters get to live. Sometimes a queer character is randomly disposed of, other times their death is treated as a punishment. Even when portrayed as a tragedy that earns the audience's sympathy, it can normalise the suffering of gay people, as if their death is a foregone conclusion. Dead lesbian syndrome also falls under this umbrella, although this trope goes beyond the first letter in LGBTQIA+.
Did you know that queer female TV characters are much more likely to be killed off than straight characters?
I didn't know that. Fun facts.
Oh, I don't think it's fun.
To understand how the community has been represented in popular media, we must first explore their societal mistreatment. While homophobia has existed in many forms over the centuries, the United Kingdom demonised the community with the Criminal Law Amendment Act in 1885.
It is in this century misunderstood. So much misunderstood that it may be described as the love that dare not speak its name. And on account of it, I am placed where I am now.
Although not without some welcome revisions, like raising the age of consent, gay rights took a massive step backwards. The Act described relations between men, private or public, as gross indecency and a punishable offence that could result in up to 2 years in prison.
The defence, I understand, will be led by Mr. Edward Carson.
Old Ned. I was at college with him in Dublin. No doubt he will perform his task with all the added bitterness of an old friend.
Among the most prominent names victimised by this act was author Oscar Wilde. Best known for writing The Picture of Dorian Gray, Wilde was accused of committing gross indecency with Lord Alfred Douglas, among other men.
It was clear that the waiting room was full of rent boys who were going to give evidence against Wilde. So the whole trial turned from being rather majestic entertainment to being a terrifying event.
It was argued that Wilde incorporated gay subtext into his works like Dorian Gray, in which the character who paints the titular portrait, Basil Hallward, lusts over its male subject, whose sexuality is ambiguous. Wilde received the maximum sentence, dying shortly after his imprisonment.
Now my life seems to have gone from me. I'm caught in a terrible net. But so long as I think he is thinking of me, my sweet rose, my delicate flower, my lily of lilies, it is in prison that I shall test the power of love.
Around this time, a new medium called moving pictures broke out. One of the earliest pictures with perceived gay themes was 1894's and 1895's The Dixon experimental sound film, in which two men danced together. From Charlie Chaplin doing drag in The Masquerader, to Charles Rogers kissing Richard Arlen on the cheek in Wings, to Clara Bow visiting a gay bar in Call Her Savage, the dawn of cinema contained more LGBTQIA+ milestones than one might expect.
Do you hate me?
I knew it the second day.
You did?
While many depictions were comedic, leaning heavily into stereotypes, there were more dignified examples. In 1933's Queen Christina, the titular monarch kisses another woman. Although the film doesn't thoroughly explore her sexuality, the real Queen Christina was theorised to be a lesbian or bisexual, which this scene acknowledges.
You're surrounded by musty old papers and musty old men, and I can't get near you.
Today I'll dispose of them by sundown, I promise you. And we'll go away for 2-3 days in the country.
Oh.
Wouldn't you like that?
Oh, I'd love it.
With the rise of the Hays Code and the National Legion of Decency, any traces of queer characters would be almost entirely erased by the mid-30s. Yet LGBTQIA+ characters still existed through what's described as queer coding.
It would be very decent of you if you didn't mention this little visit to your revered husband. He doesn't exactly approve of me.
In the book The Maltese Falcon, the character Joel Cairo is described as queer. The 1941 film adaptation removes this line, but Peter Lorre's portrayal still indulges stereotypical queer traits.
But I certainly wish you would have invented a more reasonable story. I felt distinctly like an idiot repeating it.
Don't worry about the story's goofiness. A sensible one would have had us all in the cooler.
Perceived queer coding was especially common among villains, from Universal monster movies like Dracula's Daughter to Hitchcockian thrillers like Rebecca, Strangers on a Train, and Rope. These characters would all be punished by the credits, sometimes lethally. Even empathetic queer-coded characters like Plato in Rebel Without a Cause weren't safe from the bury your gays trope.
Those are not my friends.
Make them go away.
You want me to make them go away?
By the 60s, there was more pushback against censorship and anti-gay laws, allowing filmmakers to more openly explore LGBTQIA+ life. 1961 gave us at least 2 notable examples.
Goodbye and thanks.
What, for a measly 20 quid?
No, for knowing me all these years. Still being a friend.
Well, it used to be witches. At least they don't burn you.
Victim revolves around a young gay man who takes his own life amid being blackmailed. While this ties into the bury your gays trope, it also presents an LGBTQIA+ protagonist in a heroic light.
I expected at least one question. Don't you have any?
I've believed in your integrity for 10 years, sir. I can see no reason to question it now.
Melville Farr, who had an affair with the victim, pursues justice for his late lover. Farr succeeds, although it comes at the expense of his reputation and marriage, suggesting that gay characters must be punished to some degree. Across the pond, William Wyler directed The Children's Hour, in which a lying child claims that her 2 female teachers are lovers, causing them to be ostracized.
What else did you hear? What did you see?
I don't know. They were just things.
What things?
I don't know. She doesn't know.
The film was based on a 1934 play. Although New York had outlawed LGBTQIA+ themes on stage, The Children's Hour got a pass thanks to positive reviews. Wyler previously adapted the play with 1936's These Three, but due to the code, the central conflict was heterosexualized. With the 1961 remake, Wyler wanted to honor the source material.
It would be criminally foolish for you to brazen it out in public.
Oh, it's already quite public, Mrs. Tilford. 5 hours ago, we had our lives decently to ourselves. Now we have nothing left but the dirt you made of us.
Like in the play, Karen and Martha's lives are torn apart by a lie. However, Martha finds some truth to that lie, confessing she loves Karen as more than a friend.
I resented your plans to marry. Maybe because I wanted you. Maybe I've wanted you all these years. I couldn't call it by name before, but maybe it's been there since I first knew you.
Unsure how to confront the feelings that she's been repressing, Martha takes her own life. As groundbreaking and important as The Children's Hour was, Shirley MacLaine later expressed regret about Martha's fate, feeling it sent the wrong message.
To have Martha play that scene, and no one questioned what that meant or what the alternatives could have been underneath the dialogue. It's mind-boggling.
The bury your gays trope persisted with 1962's Advise and Consent and 1968's The Detective, but there was also more uplifting portrayals of LGBTQIA+ life.
Here's the geriatrics Rockettes.
Put him up there, baby!
What? Who dreamed this, Harry? Go! It's the sensational menstruation!
1970's The Boys in the Band not only featured a group of gay characters, but they all survived. Movies like this remained a rarity, however. According to Vito Russo's 1981 book, The Celluloid Closet, 28 films released between 1962 and 1978 dealt with gay themes. In 22 of them, a major gay character died on screen.
These images magnify the sadness, the hatred of us, the prediction that we will not find love.
Even William Friedkin, who directed The Boys in the Band, went on to make 1980s Cruising, centering on a serial killer targeting gay men. Where the gay community protested Cruising, 1982's Making Love was seen as a potential turning point thanks to its progressive portrayal of gay characters.
Well, to quote the words of a well-traveled visionary, you don't get points for playing by the rules.
Oh boy, talk about visionaries.
Of course, few saw Making Love. Meanwhile, the HIV/AIDS crisis would define the 80s. Now, in addition to hate crimes and self-inflicted means, writers had another method to bury gay characters.
Correct, I was sabotaged.
I don't buy it, counselor.
That's very disappointing.
To be fair, hundreds of thousands died from the disease, many of them gay men. The phrase gay plague was even tossed around, increasing the spread of misinformation and anti-gay sentiments. It would have been disingenuous and harmful for popular media to imply AIDS wasn't a death sentence for some. Projects like Philadelphia and Rent left audiences more informed and accepting. However, when almost every gay character is either a comedic stereotype or victim, it narrows how others perceive them. The same goes for black-led projects primarily focusing on slavery, segregation, and gang violence.
It might surprise you, but I don't use my fist to solve problems.
The outlet Autostraddle conducted a study examining 1,779 shows released between 1976 to 2016. Of the 11% that included bisexual, female, or lesbian characters, only 16% got happy endings, while 35% died. One of the most infamous examples was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I think she was afraid of the look you'd get on your face. Kind of like the one you're wearing now.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just trying to understand.
Despite the show's supernatural elements, the relationship between Willow and Tara was praised for its sincerity and realism. In season 6, creator Joss Whedon decided to kill off Tara, feeling it was necessary for Willow's arc.
What crappy news? Like, how do you think that's exciting for me?
Fans were furious, feeling Tara was treated like a pawn. More than a decade later, history repeated itself in The 100, when fan favourite Lexa died in a random act of gun violence shortly after consummating her relationship with Clark.
My spirit will fine. No, I am not letting you die. There's nothing you can do now.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Lexa's controversial death loomed over the show's legacy. The 100 became synonymous with Bury Your Gays, arguably bringing the term into mainstream consciousness.
You're right, Clark. Life is about more than just surviving.
As a result, it seems filmmakers and showrunners are moving away from this trope. Heartstopper, Love, Simon, Bros, Schitt's Creek, and Fire Island have explored the struggles LGBTQIA+ people commonly face without resorting to burying them.
What happens now? Howie goes back to SF, the Pines bubble bursts, then 6 months from now, they'll probably just be in love.
Maybe even happy.
Yeah, you're probably right.
The Bury Your Gays trope still exists and likely always will to some extent. We're not saying gay characters should be immune to death, especially if it's integral to the story, be it fictional, like Brokeback Mountain, or inspired by real life, like The Normal Heart. However, we're glad to see more variety and optimism in gay cinema, providing hope at the end of the rainbow.
It's not been an easy road for me, but knowing that you will always be there for me at the end of it makes everything okay.
What are your thoughts on the Bury Your Gays trope? Let us know in the comments.
The movies could be making us laugh a lot more and cry a lot more if they would actually acknowledge the true diversity of humanity.